The year is 2020. The TP industry was booming, everyone got 2 weeks off school, and for the first time in its 65-year history, the Eurovision Song Contest was cancelled. The Rotterdam contest was postponed for 1 year amid health concerns surrounding the pandemic, and all selected songs were disqualified from entering in any future contests. There would be no music in Europe, it would seem, during 2020. That is, if it weren't for the selfless actions of one man, a fable since known and revered far and wide, for better or worse. The myth, the legend, the news anchoring, craggling the worlding, assassinating the Malaysian Prime Ministering, Buddy the Elf himself, Will Ferrell. Being a wise man, Ferrell knew the repercussions which would follow in Europe without the hosting of a Eurovision Song Contest, and thus did the best he could to help out. He called up his buddy Netflix, and the pair of them together hatched a plan. By June of that year, they had made a movie. Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga is a 2020 Netflix original movie written, produced and starring Will Ferrell and co-starring Rachel McAdams. The story follows Ferrell and McAdams as Icelandic probably not siblings duo Lars and Sigrid, childhood friends who formed the struggling pop band Fire Saga, and this is their story. The movie chronicles the band following Lars' dream and life goal of representing Iceland at the Eurovision Song Contest, while Sigrid dreams of starting a romantic relationship with her oblivious lifelong friend. During their time at the contest, the duo experienced themes of jealousy, betrayal and abandonment before finally learning that friendship is more important to them than the contest and that singing from the heart is more important than winning. It's a film with a heart of gold and a veneer of something less shiny like bronze or copper. I don't know if I'd call The Story of Fire Saga a good film, but it's definitely an enjoyable one. But over the years, it's become something of a guilty pleasure for myself and my sister, who will usually watch it around this time of year during Eurovision season. However, this year something made me want to rank the songs in this musical from best to worst as someone with zero knowledge or experience with music theory. And so I did. I lovingly ranked all the songs in The Story of Fire Saga for your viewing pleasure. The only rule was that the song could be original or unoriginal as long as it was sung by a character in the movie. No previous Eurovision winners singing their own songs could be included in the ranking, so no ABBA with Waterloo or Salvador Sobral with Amar Pelos Dios, I'm afraid. And just for funsy, I made my own prediction of whether each song would qualify for the grand final in a real contest. Naturally, I've given my top 10 songs from 1 to 12 points, as is tradition with any good Eurovision ranking. And without further ado, starting at number 16 with Nil Points is...
I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Everybody knows it. This song was overplayed before it was even released. This is a cover of Pharrell Williams' Happy, performed by Fire Saga early enough in the movie, and again at the end of the film. Narratively, it serves a little purpose by showing the public's reluctance to hear an original Fire Saga song that Lars is passionate about, but did it have to be happy? I guess it helps us empathise with Lars and how exhausted he is at this stage in his career, but luckily it's just an extract from the song and not the full thing. Not good, and that's 100% coming from my own personal bias. Not being an original song, it clearly wouldn't qualify for the semi-finals, let alone the grand final. Nil Points, moving on.
That Pete Davidson looking dork? What does he have?
BDE.
I did debate whether or not to include the J-Bong remix of Double Trouble on this ranking, since it's just a remix version of another song later in the movie, plus we don't hear more than about 20 seconds of it in total, but I thought it was different enough to warrant its own place on this list. As a remix version of Double Trouble, Fire Saga's entry into the contest, it's loud, messy and unorganised. Now obviously, it's supposed to be as a representation of Lars' growing obsession with standing out from the competition at the expense of Sigrid's comfort and the original sound of the song. It's short, it works for what it's supposed to be, which is a bad remix. Would it qualify? I'm going to say it probably wouldn't, just for being too loud and messy. No BDE Hundo P could save this one. Nil Points.
Don't sing. It's okay. Let's just walk. Can we walk?
Guys, I really hate the song along. Of all the songs in this film, this is by far the most skippable one. I've got such a great dislike for this song, which is a mashup of Believe, Ray of Light, Waterloo, I Got a Feeling, and Ne Pas Moi, performed by the film's cast, as well as by prior real-life winners of the contest making cameo appearances. It's performed right in the middle of the party scene, which is already one of the more scenes in the movie, right as it's starting to drag, and then when I hear those faint claps, I'm just thinking, Netflix, you should add a skip sing-along button. There's no real purpose to the song, and the winner cameos feel strangely out of place for a movie about the Eurovision. When they've already included a much better and much more fitting Salvador Sobral cameo earlier in the runtime, I really don't know what it is about the song along that makes it such a chore for me. There's nothing inherently wrong with a group of very talented singers singing a harmless mashup of fine songs, but it just rubs me the wrong way, and I wonder how well it will age over time. And this is coming from someone who religiously follows the Eurovision every single year. I should love this song. Not for me, don't like, and the only reason it's not last place on this list is because the previous two songs were legitimately too short to justify placing any higher. Does it qualify? No. It's 8 seconds over the 3-minute limit, and yes, this song does make me that petty. Song along, more like song too long. Nil Points.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd! You can't triple stamp a double stamp! Lloyd!
It's not really that relevant, but when watching the movie and making my original list, I wrote this down as La Di Da song, only to find La Di Da to be the actual title when doing more research for this video. I think I mentioned this just to have anything to say about the song, since there's not really that much more to it. We hear a short snippet of it during the Icelandic Song Contest portion of the film, and it's fine. It's pleasant and the vocals are nice, but there's not much to say about what we hear of it in the film. The duo look like they're having a blast on stage though, so I'm happy for their characters. Probably the least memorable of all the Icelandic Song Contest songs in the movie, but would it qualify in real life? I'd say there's a chance, considering how popular slower songs and ballads have become in recent years. But even with that in mind, it would still probably depend on the quality of the semi-final it was placed in, so maybe. Another Nil Points.
My butt is itching up a storm and I can't reach it in this monkey suit.
At this point in my ranking, I'm starting to realise that the hardest songs to rank are the ones that are actually part of this film's Eurovision contest. A lot of the songs in the context of the movie are too short to fully gauge, but with Hit My Itch, you know everything you need to know about the song within the first 15 seconds. It's the generic upbeat love song with the generic love song staging, and the full version of the song doesn't really go anywhere further than the film's version. Is it a bad song? No, it's not just very interesting to listen to, although it is better than most songs San Marino have competed with in the past few years in real life, so there's a slim chance it might actually qualify in real life, but it would have to be placed in an awful semi-final to proceed. As it stands now though, when the best part about the performance is a joke that Graham Norton attempts to make about the performance, you know something's gone wrong with the performance. Nil Points.
Hey Lars! Get back in there right now and play Ya Ya Ding Dong!
I'm going to prematurely say that this might be the most controversial ranking of my whole list, considering the hype this song has garnered among fans of the film, going so far that it was actually referenced during the voting stage of the IRL 2021 Song Contest.
This is Húsavík calling. So many nice songs this year, but I would personally like you to play Ya Ya Ding Dong.
And I get it, it's catchy, it's definitely an earworm, but come on, it's not great really. I like how the song is used to frame Lars' development throughout the film, as he's a lot more willing and happy to play the song for Húsavík at the end of the film than he was in the beginning. I like that touch, but the song itself, it's Ya Ya Ding Dong. And I find myself humming and singing it sometimes, but in the same way I'd get Uno by Little Big stuck in my head. Now, whether the hype for Ya Ya Ding Dong is ironic or not, I don't think it has the legs to manage in the real contest, even as a joke entry, and I doubt it will qualify for the grand final. Nil Points.
We shall succeed together in destroying Spider-Man.
I don't really like the music genre of Coolin' with the Homies, so I was surprised upon rewatch that I didn't dislike it as much as I remember disliking it. It's definitely not my favourite, and I'd never look up the song just to listen to, but the performance in the film is fast-paced and entertaining, and some of the lyrics are legitimately funny. This is another song which has gained a little following online, which I do understand a bit more than for Ya Ya Ding Dong. It's just not for me, unfortunately. Would it qualify for the grand final? Obviously, it was a Swedish entry, un point.
We like to sing songs.
No, we don't!
I'm torn on 21st Century Viking because, on one hand, again, I'm certain it's a song I'd never go out of my way to listen to, but man, hearing this soulful falsetto techno-pop come from the burly, bearded Icelandic man dressed as a Viking was so delightfully unexpected the first time I heard it. Even though the song itself is nothing too great, the subversive performance during the Icelandic Song Contest puts a smile on my face every time I watch it. It's one of the few songs in this movie I wish just had a bit more screen time. It's just that entertaining. Even though I don't think it would qualify based on quality anyway, if we're being pedantic, the full song is nearly 4 minutes long, well over the 3-minute limit, so it wouldn't qualify based on that just in the first place. Deux points. I genuinely feel bad that Full Moon ended up so low on my ranking because I really do like this song. This is the type of music I would listen to anyway, and I think I originally had it in my top 5, but it was just drowned out by far more entertaining performances and songs later in the movie. This doesn't mean that Full Moon is a bad song though. The full version of the song is really more of the same. It doesn't really go anywhere magnificent, but the vocals and melody are strong enough to sustain interest through until the end. I'd easily add this to a favourites playlist and listen to it in my own time. I'd like to imagine that this song would qualify, but it honestly gives the vibes that it would be one of those songs that would be drowned out in the semis, unfortunately. It'd probably come second in the running order too, just to add insult to injury. Trois points.
I just love the smell of fear.
I'm too young to remember Lordi winning the Eurovision back in 2006, and I don't believe another metal band have won the contest since, so I'm thrilled that this homage was included in the film. Although it's not as heavy as Lordi's performance, it's just as entertaining in my opinion. The lyrics are as corny and over the top as the prosthetic makeup of the performers, but in a thoroughly enjoyable way. It's another song I wish we could have gotten the full version of in the movie, just to get more of that performance. The genre, staging, costume design, and pyrotechnics make this one of the most visually entertaining and unique songs of the movie. Running with the Wolves would almost certainly secure a place in the grand final, if not just for the sheer theatricality of it all. 4 points. I think of all the songs in this ranking, In the Mirror has jumped around the most, and I think that's because it's dealt a bad hand during the film. It's heard twice during the runtime, once used briefly as a scene transition, and again as a piece of background music while other action is taking place, so it doesn't really get a chance to excel for the audience, which is a shame because it is a really nice song. After listening to the full thing, I can't believe I originally had it so low in my ranking. Like a lot of other songs on this list, the full versions don't really go anywhere, but at least in this one the vocals are excellent, especially in the final chorus. In the context of the movie, this is the favourite to win the Icelandic Song Contest and Fire Saga's biggest obstacle to reaching the Eurovision. I'm glad they picked an actual good song for this when it would have been very easy for this type of movie to use a throwaway joke song instead. It adds a little bit of stake to a very low stakes movie, which does work in its favour. I just wish the film gave the song a bit more breathing room to become its own thing, rather than just a backdrop for other action. It's not a winner, but I think it'd be a safe bet for the grand final. 5 points.
Krakatawa!
What a way to open a movie and to introduce your two protagonists. Volcano Man has all the elements which make a successful Eurovision joke entry. Wacky costumes, nonsensical lyrics, and most importantly, it's a legitimate bop. The lyrics, which involve the singer being guided to the Highland fjords by the sound of floating chords where she meets and falls in love with the volcanic protector man, are fairly ridiculous, even without being accompanied by the techno pop and the screeching of eagles. But man, it's so infectiously catchy and silly that it's an absolute joy to listen to. From what I remember in 2020, a lot of the initial marketing for this film was based around this song and its music video, which makes a lot of sense considering it's the film's opening track. It sets up the movie's goofy tone perfectly and lets you know early on, hey, if you don't enjoy this song, maybe this movie's not for you. In my opinion, this is a great joke entry which could do well in the semi-final, similarly to Give That Wolf a Banana and Dancing Lascia Tumbai in previous years. Volcano Man is everything that Yaya Ding Dong wished it could be. 6 points. In the context of the film, Double Trouble is an interesting one. It's the song which Fire Saga competes with in the Eurovision, yet we never actually hear the full song in its entirety during the movie, despite it appearing 4 times, 5 if you want to include the J-Bong remix. Either due to a stage or artist mishap or interruption, the song is always halted mid-performance. And look, I know the Story of Fire Saga isn't a tremendously deep movie, but I like to imagine the reason for this ties into the movie's ongoing fling with the theme of fate. Double Trouble was never meant to be performed on the Eurovision stage, so fate ensures it never is. But I'm literally clutching at straws here. This is a movie with Demi Lovato ghosts and bloodthirsty murderous elves. So what do I know? Despite Fire Saga's attempts to elevate the song through angel wings, flashy outfits and giant hamster wheels, I think the song works best when stripped back and just sung normally. It's not a very elaborate song, which works in its favour as a simple but solid pop duet. It's not winner material by any means, but it stands out enough and its catchy chorus would surely secure it a spot in the grand final. 7 points. But now, we've arrived at the crucial moment in the ranking. The final 3 and the recipients of the coveted 8, 10 and 12 points. The most important moment of any Eurovision ranking. And the first of these, in third place, with 8 points, is...
Are you okay?
Oh my God.
I think it's fair to say that Masquerade is the most stereotypically modern Eurovision-y song in the whole film. It's mad, and as a performance, it's only surpassed by Running with the Wolves. It begins with an astronaut suit and ends with balloon head and balloon leg dancers, a key change, and an electric guitar riff. It's over the top, it's energetic, catchy, it's sexy, and this movie specifically, it wouldn't make sense to call this a villain song, as the singer Mita is a territory antagonist at best, but in any other movie this would be right at home as an entertaining villainous anthem. Masquerade is the third and final song I wish we could see the full performance of, and probably the full performance I'd like to see the most out of all of them. I feel like this is the kind of song that would gain a cult following in the real contest and sail through to the final easily. Huit. And speaking of villain songs...
Hey! Oh, I love you guys.
Ignoring the Icelandic finance minister who literally attempts to murder Lars in the third act, flamboyant Russian singer Alexander Lemtov is the closest thing this film has to a traditional villain, and certainly the more entertaining of the two, and Lion of Love is his song. We hear it twice during the movie, once as an introduction to his character during the rehearsal stage of the film, and again at the climax as a race against the clock theme as Lars is rushing to reach the stadium in time. And guys, it's just excellent. The lyrics revolve Alexander perceiving himself as a philanderer lion who, after not being tamed after thousands of lovers, spots a gazelle on the savannah who he wants to make his queen. The movie makes no attempt to be subtle in the fact that this song is about his attempts to court Sigrid during the contest, but you know what? That literally doesn't matter, as subtlety would be a detriment to Lion of Love and a disservice to Lemtov, who is just such an entertaining antagonist throughout the film. The fast-paced, mad lyrics and unexpected falsettos work so well with Lemtov's highly animated demeanour, but the song is also elevated during the movie by its positioning as a dramatic climactic song, background music for Lars to race through the streets of Edinburgh to reach the stadium and reconcile with Sigrid before she performs alone in front of all of Europe. It's fun, it's exciting, and it perfectly captures the silliness and overdramatic nature of the movie. It would easily be the most enjoyable song of the whole film if it wasn't for one final, obvious winner. Honestly, how could it have been anything else? Husavik is the final original song in the Story of Fire Saga, and far and away the very best the film has to offer, and honestly, it's not even close. Sung mainly by Sigrid with a few minor harmonic contributions by Lars, it's a song which is teased numerous times during the runtime, but only sung once, in its uninterrupted entirety, here at the very end of the film. After a full movie of Sigrid feeling second fiddle next to Lars, singing his songs, wearing his costumes, pursuing his dreams, finally, she has the chance to perform her own song, to sing in Icelandic for Lars and for Europe, and fulfilling her own personal dream. Making it even more resonant is Lars encouraging this, knowing full well it will disqualify Fire Saga from the contest, and ending his life's goal of winning Eurovision. It's the definitive emotional climax of the film, genuinely powerful, and honestly puts all other songs in the movie to shame. Husavik, sung both in English and Icelandic, is a triumphant love letter to one's own hometown, and how a person is shaped and influenced by the places and people they hold close to their heart. It's Sigrid's I Want song, where she finally declares her love for Lars, her closest friend since childhood, and her dream for the pair of them together in the town they grew up in. In a dramatic crescendo of the film's main conflict, Husavik managed to secure the Story of Fire Saga an Oscar nomination for Best Original Song, and is still, undoubtedly, the best scene in the entire film. I mean, what else is there left to say except Douze Points, a guaranteed finalist, and in this Gene's opinion, the very best song in Eurovision Song Contest, the Story of Fire Saga.